What is up, fast food fanatics? Today we're at Tim Hortons and we're also going to be visiting Krispy Kreme to try a sampling of their fall menu and see which one of these companies deserves your money. Okay, so there's a few donuts from Krispy Kreme this year, and there's also a muffin, and there are two different coffee options. You have a pumpkin spice latte, which is to be expected, and then you have a Tim Hortons offering, which is an ice cap. If anybody who goes to Tim Hortons would be familiar with that. I'm just gonna get it started off with the glazed pumpkin spice donut. Let you guys get a look. See how it tastes. Okay, so this is pretty nice. It's a good crumb. It's a little bit on like the moist, denser side, and less on like the kind of crumbly, almost like coffee cake kind of structure. And the glaze is nice. It's sweet. And the first thing that I honestly get as far as like the spices are concerned is I think that they went a little bit ginger forward with this, which I'm not mad at because I think that if you're gonna punch up something, I would say either cinnamon or ginger would have to be one and two as far as pumpkin spice is concerned. Really tasty. Next up, we just have their pumpkin spice latte. I'm curious to see how this stacks up kind of against all the other pumpkin spice lattes I've had throughout the season. Some of them definitely punch up like the spice aspect of it, which I personally like, and some of them just kind of taste like a slightly sweetened coffee. I'm curious to see how this one stacks up. Okay, so it's nice, good flavor of coffee, smooth, not a ton of acid on the back of it. This one is one of those that it's kind of just more or less a sweetened coffee in my opinion. You get a little bit of subtlety of kind of the pumpkin spice aspect, but I think just to appeal to a broader range of people, they kind of laid off on like it being overly spicy. But I would say if you're a fan of any of the traditional places people get pumpkin spice lattes from, then this wouldn't be a bad choice. Next up, we have their Pumpkin Dream Donut, which is kind of like their deluxe donut offering for the fall season. It's a cake donut, and it has what looks like some sort of kind of pumpkin streusel on top, a dollop of like a mousse or a cream. But you guys gotta look at it, and then some caramel, and then I imagine that it's a pumpkin spice cake donut. Let's see how this stacks up. Really tasty donut. I don't know that I'm getting hit over the head with anything that screams kind of pumpkin or pumpkin spice, but that aside, super super tasty. You get that dollop in the center. It almost has like a frosting from like a Duncan Hines kind of tub of frosting feeling. It's rich. It's really smooth. You get a little bit of texture from kind of these added pieces up top. I think that they're nice. I would have maybe appreciated like some nuts or maybe like some pepitas or something like that. Would have added to the overall concept of this donut. But that aside, I think that you're not going to be disappointed with how tasty this donut is. So last up in the beverage department, this is the ice cap from Tim Hortons. It's essentially like an iced kind of cappuccino style beverage with some whipped cream on top and then caramel. This is pumpkin spice, so I am curious to see whether or not we get any of those flavors. See how it tastes. Oh wow, it's putting almost more of like a malted milkshake kind of vibe. Whatever syrup they use for like adding maybe the coffee flavor and doing like the whole whipped beverage thing, it's really tasty. It's almost more or less like a coffee kind of milkshake. If I'm being honest, as tasty as it is, I'm not really picking up anything in the pumpkin department. That being said, I do think that if you are a blended drink kind of person, you would still very much enjoy this. I would just say keep your expectations low as far as any kind of spice element or pumpkin element to it. And last, but certainly not least, is their pumpkin muffin offering. So this is a pumpkin muffin with what looks like toasted pepitas, and then there's supposed to be some sort of a cream cheese filling in the center. I'm curious to see how this kind of stacks up against the one that we had from Starbucks. It looks good. Let's see how it tastes. So this is a really nice muffin offering from Tim Hortons. The structure of the muffin is good. It's moist and it's not overly crumbly. The top is nice. It's appreciated that they put the toasted pepitas on there to kind of give a little bit of contrast to the texture. And the cream that they fill this with balances out the muffin pretty well. There's a bit of sweet, there's a balance of salt, there's a good amount of the spices from the muffin coming through. I don't know that there's anything that I would do too much to kind of improve upon what they did here. I would say maybe a little bit more filling would have been nice. It might have overpowered it though, but still really, really nice muffin option. If I'm being honest, I don't know that I think that this beats Starbucks. Starbucks was a little bit more refined than this, but as far as Tim Hortons goes, this is a great option. So next up, we have Krispy Kreme's offering for their fall menu. They have 4 donut varieties, and then they have a pumpkin spice latte. I'm just going to get right into it with their pumpkin spice original glaze. Looks pretty much like what you would expect from Krispy Kreme. Nice even glaze. I'm curious to see how this stacks up as far as the difference between this, which I think is a yeast donut, and then the cake donut from Tim Hortons. Did you guys get a look? So, real nice donut, real light, real airy, nice even glaze. Maybe a bit sweet for most people, but just the right amount of sweetness for me. You do get some of the spice there. I would say, on initial impression, this is maybe not as spice forward as Tim Hortons, but still a really nice donut. So next up, this is Krispy Kreme's pumpkin spice cake donut, and this is probably a more accurate comparison to what Tim Hortons has because they're both cake donuts. This is done more in the old style fashion, so let's see if there's any noticeable texture differences or anything in general. So much more cinnamon flavor here. I think that the idea of pumpkin or pumpkin spice just kind of lends itself a little bit better to a cake donut. It kind of almost drinks in those spices a little bit better than a yeasted donut. And this is definitely pumpkin spice forward. I would say off the bat, way more pumpkin spice than the Krispy Kreme original glaze, and arguably more pumpkin spice, or at least as much as Tim Hortons. So next up, we have the pumpkin spice latte from Krispy Kreme, and I'm curious again just to see how this stacks up with the bunch of pumpkin spice coffees that we've had throughout the beginning of this season. This is a good flavor of coffee. I would say that this is more, kind of cinnamon fall spice forward than maybe Tim Hortons was. If the pumpkin spice is really what you're looking for, you're probably better off at like Starbucks or Dunkin', and I think you could probably pass from a company like Krispy Kreme. Next is the pumpkin spice cheesecake donut from Krispy Kreme. You can tell the difference between this and then their original glaze just because it has like the stripes on top of it to be different, and also obviously if you pick it up, the weight on it. Let's see how this one stacks up. The cheesecake flavor that they have going on here is mild, but it's just enough. So like you get a little bit of the tang, a little bit of the sweet, and then the mild kind of pumpkin flavor. This is a really nice donut. I would say that on my initial impression and probably through the rest of the donut, I think that this would have been better suited as maybe a dollop or a filling for that cake donut that they had. I think that it's nice in the ring here, but I just think that you're not getting enough of the pumpkin spice flavor, and it kind of just comes off as like a cheesecake donut. Still really delicious. Anybody who's a fan of their kind of filled ring donuts, I think you'll enjoy this, especially if you're a cheesecake fan. If you're expecting like a punch of pumpkin flavor, you're not going to really get it with this one. Last up, we have the pumpkin spice cinnamon roll from Krispy Kreme. This looks like they kind of just went with a traditional kind of pumpkin spice, cinnamon sugar kind of topping, and then they did what Looks like a cinnamon roll kind of swirl, and then I believe it's like a cream cheese swirl around it. Let's see how it tastes. So I'm definitely getting cinnamon roll vibes from this. They leaned in heavy on the cinnamon, and it works well. If you're going to call something a cinnamon bun donut or a cinnamon roll donut, it should have this level of cinnamon. There's a good balance of kind of the brown sugar swirl there, and then the cinnamon sugar that they put on top. And I don't know that this is actually cream cheese because it doesn't taste like there's a tang. No, there it is. Yeah, there's a little bit of a tang there. So yeah, they lean very much into the idea of kind of like a traditional cinnamon bun or a cinnamon roll. And this is a really appealing donut. I think that even though maybe it's not, pumpkin spice or pumpkin involved, it's still very much the autumn fall flavors that people look for. I think that people are going to definitely like this donut. So the pumpkin battle has been waged. Who really deserves your fall spice money right this year? One thing I would like to note before I kind of get into that is regardless of who you decide to go with, these fall flavors are coming to an end real soon. So if you guys did want to kind of hop on that fall spice train, that you'd have to get there pretty much by the end of this month in order to be able to really try out any of these products. That being said, like most of the reviews that I do, a lot of this is going to be your mileage may vary on what kind of fall experience you're looking for. The coffees, I think that one's a little bit easier, a little bit more straightforward. From people that are coffee people, granted the flavor, I would say, of Krispy Kremes is nice. It's a little bit more cinnamon forward. I think that if you're going to get a coffee, that Tim Hortons, the quality of their coffee is just better. Granted, I may not go with the pumpkin spice latte, but that ice cap was really nice. It wasn't overly pumpkin forward, but still just a really tasty coffee. The thing that kind of sells me on that is that it's not just a regular whipped cream on top. It's like thick, like Cool Whip, and hence, the ice cap portion of it. Now, the donuts, it's a little bit more of a toss-up because it depends on what you find more appealing in a donut. With the donuts that Tim Horton had, I would say the star of the show was that pumpkin spice kind of dream donut that they had. It was really, really tasty. The elements that they had in that, kind of that whipped, almost frosting-like filling on it with the caramel drizzle. The muffin, I think that honestly, the Starbucks muffin was the better of those kind of pumpkin options. And if that's the thing you're vibing on, I would go to Starbucks for a pumpkin muffin and not Tim Hortons. Now, the donuts at Krispy Kreme, they offered more of a variety there. And I would say that the classic ones that they had, stood up better than Tim Hortons classic. The old-fashioned style pumpkin spice glazed donut that Krispy Kreme had, there's just a good amount of texture, and it was really punched up with that pumpkin flavor. I think that it was just all around a more appealing pumpkin spice donut. My mileage for Krispy Kreme would be the old-fashioned pumpkin spice glazed donut. I think that most people are going to find that to be their fall experience. It becomes your mileage may vary. Do you like a filled donut with a lot of things going on, with the flavors? Then I think you're going to probably like Tim Hortons. Or if you're just a traditional kind of basic person, I think you're really going to find the Krispy Kreme original spiced cake donut just way more up your alley. Thanks again for watching, guys. We always appreciate it. As usual, do the like, share, follow, and subscribe if you already haven't. Now that it's officially fall, happy fall, y'all. Catch you guys on the next one.